Hi guys, it's Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in the Cosmic Suit. A few updates for you today. Things are really heating up, and I just wanted to run over some stuff just to make sure that in case you missed anything, you're up to speed with what I think is going on. The first thing I need to talk to you about is the Telegram channel. I have explained this in Telegram and on my email list. If you're not on my email list, please go below this video, sign up to the email list. It's the best way of staying in touch because this sort of thing happens all the time. So my Telegram channel that you can see here with 17,492 subscribers is about to go pop. And the reason it's about to go pop is because 6 months ago, I was attacked. And part of that attack, apart from losing a PayPal account, a Linktree account, and a bunch of other online resources, was that my phone got hacked and I couldn't top it up. I won't have a contract with anybody, so I'm on a top up with my mobile, and it got attacked, and I couldn't top it up, and it wouldn't work. And I put, I think, about 90 euros into it, and it just wouldn't work. So I had to. This is the same day that my car broke down with electrical failures. So I had to get a new number. I had to get two new numbers because the next one I got, the next account, I think I went from Vodafone to Tesco, and both of them wouldn't work for me. And the third one did. What that meant was that I couldn't access my personal Telegram accounts. And that meant that, and I didn't know this at the time, I didn't know this until the last few days, that as that account was the official owner of this channel on Telegram, people have started seeing notices saying, due to the owner's inactivity, this channel will be closed down in the next few days. So this Telegram account here, this channel, is going to be closed, I think on Monday or Tuesday. So if you are a subscriber to that, please notice that there's a post I put here and a voice message explaining all this. There's a new Telegram channel here, which is currently on 3,500. Thanks for all of you that have done this already. We're still 13,000 short of the total number of people. But if you could go to Telegram and click on this new one, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, because that other one's going to close down. I'm still going to keep it open. It's going to close of its own accord. So please come and join that. Also, I put a video up here on this new account this morning and on the YouTube channel, which I'll just play now. A new Earth is forming. Your tribe is calling. New Earth is Ireland's independent arts and music festival, running from August the 26th to the 28th. 3 days in a secret location, hidden in the heart of Ireland, to build the new Earth we wish to create for our children and the generations ahead. A gathering of conscious souls who are ready to step into a brave new world and build new Earth. Book your tickets now at newearth.ie. Yeah, I just realised that makes it look like we sound like when we're going to build a new Athlone. Yeah, quite a sexy voice. That. Where do we get that voiceover artist from? I have no idea. This is an initiative by Shakti, who you hopefully saw in the recent interview we did on location in Dingle and Limerick with Shakti G. If you haven't seen that, go and watch it. And if you only watched a bit of it, watch it to the end, because there's an amazing light language healing at the end that she does that people are giving amazing feedback on. So look, Shakti is one woman on her own trying to organize this whole festival. She's got lots of experience of organizing festivals, but I said I'd help out and make a video, and I'm going to go and perform at that event. So even if you're in the UK, come. If you're in Ireland, come. If you're around the world, come if you can. But at least share it for us, please, because we need the word to get out. And, there's no corporations involved here. There's no sponsors. She's turned down tons of sponsorship opportunities because she just doesn't want to align with some of those companies. So please help out as much as you can there. Now, I've just been away for 4 or 5 days, filming with David Mahoney and Lucy Davis, and we've had a really interesting time, and with Abby Wynn and with Huna Flash, and it's been that's going to make a great film. We're working on that at the moment. Kieran's in the editing suite with that. We are really busy because we're trying to build a studio here as well, because my house is getting extremely cluttered, and with 5 kids I need more space here, and also I wanted to make more professional. I enjoy making these videos and this podcast. I love this podcast. So I'm going to do this podcast as long as I live, I think. And as long as you have me. You might say, no, fuck off, Mark. We're bored of you, which is fine. I'll go and do something else. I've been doing that my whole life. Who cares? But I'm enjoying doing it. And I want to get the guys that have helped me make a lot of videos over the last couple of years. We've invested a lot in equipment, and studio seems the next logical thing to do, so that's what we're doing. Now I'm going to share a couple of other things that I think are exciting. Let me just find them. Okay, so this is the Storm Rider the Storm Rider official page. Now, this has been shared around, and I just wanted to make sure that I'm going to read it out to you just to make sure you're on top, because I believe most of this is true. And if you haven't noticed that things are going on, then you must be sleeping under a rock. So I'll just read it out to you and add my own comments. It's becoming more and more evident the fall of the world DS is taking place. We are inside the storm. Military Ops Green. The destruction of the GGs, which was under 24-hour surveillance, was destroyed by bombs. I'm not sure it was bombs, but, you know, I don't know like anybody else doesn't know. And the full video disappeared from the security company. Hours later, the Gs were fully dismantled using heavy machinery. What I thought was really interesting about the destruction of the GGs is that they didn't destroy all of them, so that the photos that appeared across the media across the world had the things on them that you could read. And what's the effect of that? Millions and millions of people are like, what is America's Stonehenge? What does that say? Keep humanity under 500 million in perpetuity with nature. Oh, hang on a minute. Aren't there 8 billion people on this planet? That means killing 7.5 billion people, doesn't it? And I think that's what Q was, that's what 17 was talking about. Sometimes you have to show people. I also watched a video the other day of somebody saying that the GGs were nothing to do with the DS, and that it was something to do with the Knights Templar. The truth is, nobody actually knows anything. Just remember that. Use your own intuition. But it was very, very significant. It was to me, especially because I found out about these things 10, 15 years ago. And, you know, whichever way you look at it, they're not good. So it's great that they've gone. And great that so many people have seen that. Next point, the fall of the UK DS Gov as military ops. Yeah, I mean, the dramatic exit of BJ, the appropriately named BJ, with who, by the way, whose dad, go and look up his dad, right? Look up BJ's dad and look at the books that he's written. They're all about eugenics. If you don't know what eugenics is, go and look that up. But it's basically about culling the population. It's not good. David Attenborough is a eugenicist. All those programs on the BBC that you've seen, eugenics. Bullshit. There's no difference between David Attenborough being on the BBC, the much loved national treasure, David Attenborough, than there is Jimmy Savile. These BBC, the BBC, the same organization that has a paedophile statue made by a paedophile from 1936 stuck on its headquarters. These are not just paedophile protectors. You know, work it out for yourself. Stop paying your license. Don't be afraid. Stop paying it. And when they come to the door, don't answer their questions. If they ask you, is that Mr. or Mrs. blah, 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 just say, I'm not answering that question. And then remember this line. Also, I revoke your implied right of access to this property. Now, please leave. They will leave. I've done it myself. I did it myself 9 years ago. So The Prime Minister resigned. Operation London Bridge is falling down is in full effect. A lot of us have been waiting for this, and it's really going to start moving. Excuse me. As the Majesty Regiment plans for the announcement of the Queen's death to be revealed. She's been gone for at least 2 years. You've been watching a movie. This is interesting. Currently, UK in 2021 had 22 trillion in gold delivered by the US military from the Cheyenne Mountains military-based operations. That is interesting because that does imply that GESARA is coming. Though you'll see lots of people out there saying, oh, it's clickbait or it's nonsense. But, I'm seeing a lot of evidence that the QFS is a real thing. It's really happening. And yes, it's been delayed. And yes, people get fed up with waiting and get annoyed about people saying that. But I think a lot of people have been talking about this as are going to be vindicated. It might not be exactly how they've said, but it does, to me, it looks like it's happening. Yes, the Vatican underground DUMs are connected to CERN supercomputer. There were at least 4 fires under the Vatican and in Rome, one of which was attributed in the mainstream to a waste management yard or something. But these fires are coming from underground, and so definitely, the smoke plumes are huge. It's undeniable. But what's interesting is connected to this. Excuse me, I've got a bit blocked those today. This data is recently sent out from CERN via the LHCOPN. I had to go and look that up, and it stands for Large Hadron Collider Optical Private Network. Okay, so it's just a private network, and it's sent to Tier 1 academic institutions in Asia, Europe, i.e. Vatican, and North America via dedicated 10 gigabit links. Translation: orders are sent out from the 3-letter headquarters beneath Lake Geneva to 11 3-letter substations from around the world, one of which is located in the headquarters of the 3-letter agency. More than 150 Tier 2 institutions are subsequently connected to 3-letter agencies, 11 Tier 1. What's interesting there is academic institutions, universities, not good places. Not good places. Don't send your kids to universities until we're through this. That's my advice. These tunnels are over 1,000 years old, housed 2 supercomputers connected to the worldwide money laundering system to the 3-letter agency, 4th REICH Regiment, Jesuits, Rothschilds, blah, blah, blah. This is all good news. This is all great news. Whichever way you look at it, something's happening, and it's happening large. I'd add to that as well that if you go to Samantha Alderson's Telegram channel, she put up some really interesting stuff about Salisbury Plains, fires under Salisbury Plains, which is where Stonehenge is located, where apparently there are 4 DUMs under there that sort of coincide, and it's all connected to Aleister Crowley's house. He keeps popping up for me. He's on the header of my website. If you don't know who he is, go and look him up. And these 4 DUMs converge at Stonehenge, where the 4 powerful ley lines converge, the earth energy. So this, there's a lot of talk about destruction of 34 satanic buildings worldwide, and I think we've already witnessed 1, maybe 2, with the obelisk in Rome as well being hit by lightning, and more to go, such as Buckingham Palace, maybe the White House, the other obelisks in Washington. There's lots of them, and what these buildings do is they harvest energy and they block energy, and that's part of how the matrix is held in place, and how part of how the mind control system is held in place, in my opinion. So the assassination, it says here the assassination of Prime Minister of Japan. He was a former Prime Minister, and who was shot allegedly the other day, who knew all the full reports and handed over servers, computers to military operations, exposing the truth of the Fukushima event, which was an FF. Okay. I'm not saying it didn't happen, and FFs don't mean things didn't happen. It just means they're not what they say they are. That was a deliberate attack to cause radiation, to cause mass migration out of Japan. Exposing the truth and planned invasion of China through the events, North Korea, Russia, Taiwan, Japan, US. But Russia and Taiwan declined to be in the Bush-Obama planned intent, which is good. And this is, when Bush Obama were pushing this. This is when BRICS started to form, BRICS, which is I think Brazil, Russia, India, China. I can't remember what the S is for, but so basically this new financial system that's been coming in via the side door. Sources report the Prime Minister was in close contact with Trump. Was his death fate planned a message? Yeah, there's evidence to say he was close with Trump, but if you read BenjaminFulford.net, he says that Abe, or Abe, however you pronounce his name, the guy that allegedly got shot, was also very much DS. So, this is 5D chess, remember, and who knows the truth of this, but I did see some pictures of what looked like a fake blood bag that didn't go off properly. Also, some other pictures where the corpse apparently had a goatee beard and just didn't look anything like him. So something's afoot, and it was pretty big, biblical, in fact. Sri Lanka has fallen. I've seen videos of the people of Sri Lanka in the palace, and that the president has fled. The DS president has fled. This is amazing. This is we the people in action. The people of Sri Lanka had enough, went to the streets, and took power. That's what we're going to do. So major plans are slated to use Sri Lanka as a beta testing ground to see a regime fall and quickly rebuild gold back GESARA digital currency. Excuse me, still snotty. Yes, the Lebanon is currently in full media blackouts, communications blackouts, military operations happening throughout the country. Remember, the Lebanon was where that strike took place. I think it was last year, or was it in 2020? I lose track of time during all of this, but it's very interesting. That country is right next door to Israel, and that attack was probably something to do with Dubs, although they said it was a fireworks factory. But I think we all saw, if you remember that. So there's a lot going on there, and it's very interesting that that's happening at this time. This is also great news. The KM, if you don't know what Khazarian means, go and look it up. These are the bad guys. The Khazarian mafia are the people that run the world, or have run the world. So Estonia, Israel, Sri Lanka, UK, Ireland. That's music to my ears, have fallen. I've heard this from an independent source last week on my travels, who's connected to white hats in this country. And this is, you're not necessarily going to see all this play out immediately in front of your eyes, but it does ring true for me because all of this is happening at the same time, which, my God, it's great news. The largest KM regime in US, France, Canada, Italy, their current military operations have collapsed. France falling as Macron's crime syndicate regime start jumping ship and abandoning his position as criminal investigation into Macron has started. You may have also seen headlines in the Express I put up on the Telegram group channel 2 days ago saying that he'd been ordered to resign. It's happening, guys. It's happening. The Biden regiment is in freefall as more mainstream media turn against him. The Washington Post, the New York Times, red-pilling the liberals and questioning his authority and the whole administration. I mean, I saw pictures from Hunter Biden's laptop about a year ago. They are so filthy and disgusting. I haven't shared them on Telegram. I don't want, you go and find them yourself. Just if you need proof, if you need to prove to yourself what a disgusting pedo this guy is, and his dad's been dead for 2 years at least. If you don't believe that, go and look up the envelopes being handed out at George Bush Senior's funeral, and look at the look on their faces. That video is well worth hunting out. These guys are gone. They're gone. They've been gone for ages. We are under the greatest military operation in history. And if you're in any doubt of that, then I'm sorry, but you're just not listening. Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time before he goes down, that puppet. I mean, also, if you look at the footage of him over the last year or so, isn't it obvious somebody else is in control and making him look completely stupid? Because, my opinion is that all of this is happening to save lives. People really, really married to the idea that Biden's good and Trump is bad. And it's just bollocks. So you have to show people. Well, that's what I think they've been doing. The EU in full collapse as markets crash and small banks close, and MSN reports on recession. Yeah, I think it is. The EU is nothing more than a giant paedophile ring. It's disgusting. And the way that it's taken over countries like Ireland has been vile. But they get away with it because of the propaganda. I mean, when I first moved here, I went to the cinema. They put on adverts in the cinema before the movie for the EU that were worse, a more obvious propaganda than Nazi propaganda in the 1930s. It's vile, talking about them being peacekeepers and peacemakers and blah, blah, blah. They have to go. They have to go. And Brexit was the beginning of that, and that was for 6 years ago. And you could go back. I did videos on Brexit 6 years ago, and really stuck my neck out and got disowned by loads of colleagues in business. But I've been at this a long time. Putin summed up the world situation as the beginning of the fundamental collapse of the American-style world order, of the transition from liberal globalist American egocentrism to a truly multipolar world. That is beautiful. I mean, it's written in a language that people would understand. It's not the American-style world order. And, it's nothing to do with countries. It never has been. It's the KM. It's the reptilians, the Dracos, the Greys. It's their agendas, using countries as smokescreens, as cover. This is why I've never really used the word patriot, but patriot's a word that people in those countries would understand as, standing up for what's right is what patriot really means. It doesn't mean that you're a nationalist. Although being a nationalist is not a bad idea, is it? Because you look at, family comes first, and where we are born, where we come from, should come first. Our people, our families, and the extended families in our communities should come first. Because, if you're in a plane and it's about to crash, you're told to put the oxygen on you before your child. Because how can you save the child if you haven't got oxygen on you? Yeah, so that's all interesting. There's one other thing I'd like to share with you, which is a document I received that I think contains some interesting stuff as well. If you want to stick with me, this is worth having a look at. Yeah, here it is. So this is from a guy called Steve Bilby. I'll fly through this. Now, I'm not saying all of this is true in this document, but I'm going to read it to you because I think elements of it definitely are true. And there's a lot of optimistic stuff in here, which I resonate with. But, I don't do timing, so don't hold this to me. But Steve Bilby says, for the next 4 weeks, our world is going to change into a higher vibration planet, the golden age. Here's what to expect. The greatest transfer of wealth from the DS thugs to we the people. This wealth will be transferred to the QFS and dispersed through those programs. We are moving into the stellar financial system with Ledger, not Trezor. Interesting. Ledger. Let me have a look. This, I don't know if you can see this. This is a ledger. Okay. Ledger is a place to secure digital currency offline. So that's interesting. I've got a ledger, which is good. I've got the right one, according to this. Nobody's using Trezor, and it's getting harder and harder to move funds onto this type of cold wallet. Dig me. The new financial system is a gift from the Space Brothers. This is to prepare us for the ice wall travels. Yeah, so we're surrounded by a wall of ice. Go and look into that. And when we find out, according to Elisa and Honey Golden, I think Elisa said 9,000 walls of the ice wall, 9,000 miles of the ice wall have already down, and there's already a crack in the dome. And Honey said that it's going to be a fisherman that first noticed this. So that's going to be interesting if that actually comes out that way. Mars is over, not out. The moon is a plasma shield reflection of the Earth and casted light from the black sun beneath the planet. The sun is also a reflection from the black sun. The black sun, the rotation of the black sun is clockwise, which reflects the Polaris, its movement, which is the equator. The truth is the light. New elections begin November the 3rd after the July 27th restart of planet Earth and the implementation of GSARA. All government positions were stolen through the BlackRock Evergrande Vanguard connection. Have you not heard of these? These are the biggest corporations on Earth. These guys literally own, I think it's like 80% of all private property on the earth. They certainly own 90% of all the corporations of earth. This is how they've done it, through the back door. I mean, it's happening here in Ireland around me. I mean, people who are not awake are talking to me about the fact that there's this big corporation coming in and just buying property. That's how they're doing it. You will own nothing and be happy. That's what Klaus Schwab said in the Great Reset. The DC government is part owners in the Evergrande umbrella. They were not electing officials, they were placing them. This is the thing that the people of the earth need to understand. Every elected official on earth at the moment was put there. They weren't elected. And this is through that's misspelt, but I think you know what that is. These machines that do that, and their Skittle servers and the Five Eyes. That's the agencies, the Five Eyes agencies. They made sure to put their satanic approved bloodlines into positions of power. It was all for the abduction, that word, which I'm not going to say, and those things, which I'm not going to mention. Did you know that he signed an EO to enslave us? Doesn't surprise me. He was a very bad man. I think he's gone as well. End of taxation. How wonderful would that be? Tax is all theft. All of it is theft. Do not pay it. It's voluntary. It's so obvious. But people are still married to the idea that if they don't pay, they're not contributing. And this is how they control us. They control us based upon our decency. This is why I was a socialist for 20 years, because I thought it was decent. It was the most decent place to place my loyalties and my ideologies. But it's all a con. It's all a con. You're being duped. Everybody's being duped. And this was to support the dark web and money for BC. Now, I told everybody about a year ago, get rid of this, because when it comes out, who created it and what it was for, it's going to go to zero. I still believe that. I believe in terms of crypto, only have the X coins, XRP, XLM, XEM. They're all backed by precious metals, from my understanding. XRP has definitely been in place for a number of time. I do lots of international transfers, and I've noticed the difference in speed of transfers over the last year to different countries. And that means Swift definitely has been dismantled. Biolabs, bank theft, poison foods, Western medicines, killing machine, bribery, money control over the universities, which is how you control the population, when you control all those people getting degrees and put them into jobs. And look up Common Purpose, guys. Go and look up Common Purpose. That's the next level of, they work through university. I've been to parties at Oxford University where people have proudly told me that they're in Common Purpose. And this was like 15 years ago. Brian Jerish from UK Column has done tons of work exposing this. Go and have a look. Common Purpose. This is how they pulled this off. Fund the tiers of agency to support and push the agenda of the reptilians and the greys. If you don't believe that they're real, you're living in cuckoo land. Sunday morning. Now, this is where I lose it a bit, because he's talking about dates. But the beginning of the Black Swan event, when the House of Financial Cards comes down for the Dark Lords. When I say I lose it, I don't think he's wrong. I just don't know about the dates. Supreme Court decisions rectifying bad laws and unconstitutional protocols. R versus W was a scam that was created to be able to kill babies lawfully. No question in my mind about that. I'm pro women's choice, but the answer to unwanted pregnancies is not abortion. It's just not. This was an agenda to feed the non-human entities here on Earth. By reversing this, we are reversing killing innocent lives and installing ethics back into culture, which is amazing. And proof the good guys are in control, right? If the bad guys are in control, that would never have happened. We are now allowed to protect ourselves from rioters. This is great news as well. The Supreme Court just held the Second Amendment, and this is going to put a little fear into these guys and these guys and these guys, which is great, because they've been able to get away with bloody murder. And we had to see that. Those riots in 2020 were all designed for us to see how bad this system with those groups is. 17 is pushing the good patriot people of the country front and center, so we can be the law of the land. This is what General Flynn's been doing. For the last 2 years, he's been going around telling people on a face-to-face local level that you need to stand up. That's why I interviewed that amazing woman on my channel from Florida who's standing up. I just spoke to Charlie Ward yesterday, who's in the States on this tour in front of 5,000 people. He spent 8 hours with General Flynn I was on a Zoom call with General Flynn and Dave Mahoney and Huna Flash and Charlie Ward the other day. These guys are real. And I know there's been a lot of negative press about all around all of them. But trust me, I've met them. I've shook them by the hand. I've looked them in the eye. If they are fake, fuck me. They're incredibly good, but they're not. The SC just upheld just voting by pushing for voter ID cards. This is big news. One of the ways they've got away with all of this is by not having these. The SC will also dispel climate change and other bogus initiatives that are intended to enslave us further. Again, brilliant news. Lastly, they will overturn the elections and declare who as the real what. The SC is returning us back into God's laws, creating a lawful and just republic. See, it had to be done this way. It had to be done legally, because if it wasn't done this way, imagine the panics, the riots, the fighting, the murders. It would have been disastrous. It had to happen this way. This is a worldwide initiative, and all great white hats are cleaning the crap out of darkness from our planet. Yes, they are. And if you're watching this channel and you agree with this, you're a white hat. I mean, you're working. We're all part of this. It's amazing. The light of Brahma will return. Bill Barr coming soon. John Durham is building the case against the FUBAR. He will be the one to take them down. All the other, remember, JFK said he would scatter these to the four winds. I think that was the quote. And they didn't like that, did they? And who was in charge of these three-letter agencies back then? George Bush. Yeah. I think this is why JFK Jr. called his magazine George. That's my understanding. To basically say, we know, we're coming for you. It's taken a long time, but this is such a big operation. He will be the one to take them down, and all the other investigation agencies. There will be only military when he gets through with his big reveals. The U.S. attorney's apolitical reputation on the line as he reviews origins of the Doodah investigation. The arrest of Hillary is coming, and Obama will run back to Kenya for protection. I don't think he's alive. I think they've both been gone for quite a long time. But for optics, we've got to. I've got some some people I really, really love and have loved for 30 years think this guy's a hero, and Michelle is a hero, and I just don't understand how they don't see it. And it's ruined our friendships. And it's really, really sad, but it's all part of this war. Joe will also go down for who was vastly involved in horrible actions in the ukulele. And don't forget Doodah and his laptop. Absolutely. I mean, that child sniffing monster. I mean, the guy didn't even, the real Biden had zero intellect. I mean, he lied through his teeth, got caught lying through his teeth a million times. I remember in the 80s, he literally stole one of Neil Kinnock's speeches and then got accosted for it on TV. And he just sort of went, oh, yeah, it was an accident. Jeez. Disney is also going to go down, and their crimes against the little people is going to make you puke. Yeah, well, I've been trying to tell my kids, Disney, because obviously it's heartbreaking. Disney was shoved down our throats. I mean, if you're in the UK, think about it in the 70s. Why was there a half an hour Disney special on just before Jimmy Savile? Why? Why did the BBC, a publicly funded organization, give free airtime, basically advertising a multinational American corporation? Why? I think you know why. And I now know why. And please, if you're subscribing to Disney Plus, please unsubscribe immediately. Stop giving them your money. I think they're going down anyway, but I actually think some of the good guys are in there and doing some of the things that they're doing. I think this has been going a very long time. I think a lot of the uber wokeness of media in the last 4 or 5 years, which has meant the destruction of beloved channels, shows like Doctor Who and Star Trek and Star Wars, movie franchises. As I'm starting to lean towards the fact that the idea that might all be white hat, all of it. which is, it's been really tough as somebody that enjoys popular culture to see it all unpeel like this. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is all black hat stuff, and maybe but they are going down, definitely. Yeah, this guy and selling these to little people, to the elites, they could do what they wanted, but it's also going to be made public. It has to be made public. I mean, it's been public in my world for years, but nobody ever believed me. My friends just thought I was nuts. Yeah, the rioters will send off the destruction of churches and PP. Look, go and look up these guys, right? More eugenicists. Not only that, racist eugenicists. The woman that set up this was, she's on video talking about destroying the black population. I think it's 1,000 black kids a day, or babies, get murdered by this every day. It's a genocide. It's a slow genocide in front of your faces, with people screaming on the streets trying to protect it. Jesus. Then we will see the nuclear show and the destruction of the satanic constructs like dams, homes, museums, castles, Vatican. This is what I talked about earlier. I think that's going to happen. I've long believed that we're going to see something like this. I had a vision on that 18 months ago. This event is about financial, medical, historical, and science fraud that has been MK Ultra'd into people's minds. The lies that have been told during the days of truth is going to make a lot of people very ill. That's why, if you're watching this and you've been watching my channel for a while, we've got a lot of work to do. When all this comes out, it's us that is going to have to cuddle these people and help them through. It's not going to be easy for them. The CME, that's a corona mass ejection, which comes out of the sun, which will unleash a power that wipes out our phones and computers. So this is possibly the blackout, the 10 days of darkness. I'm not sure. The birth of a lightning bolt was caught on video. I haven't got a link to that, so I don't know exactly what that's talking about, but that sounds interesting. I'll go and look at that afterwards. These are horrible devices and full of radiation. That's our equipment, our phones, our computers, our electric cars. Electric cars are woke and nonsense, and they're designed to kill you. I remember getting my friend's Mitsubishi EV a few years ago, and he was very pleased with it. And I said, yeah, but the problem is you're sat on top of a giant battery. And they're telling us that lithium batteries in phones cause cancer. Well, what's it doing to your whole body if you're sat in a giant one? Not only that, these batteries were scavenged out of the lithium scavenged out of the ground by children in Africa, slave wages. And then when you finish with the car, what are you going to do with the battery? And not only that, 100 years ago, they had electric cars that did 1,000 miles, had 1,000 miles range, and got charged really quickly. So, this thing costs you 80,000 quid. It does 230 miles. What the fuck is that? What are you doing? It's all a con. It's all a con. And the design of the electric vehicles, my God, aren't they shit? It's like any testosterone that was left in car design just got taken out and replaced with plastic fucking grills and stupid names. That's why I drive a Jaguar XJ. Yeah, because I'm a Jag man. Yeah. So they're going to get destroyed, and we'll get new equipment as in alignment with free energy. Lightning causes the booms of all Baal altars around the world. Now, that's interesting. Baal, if you don't know what Baal is, go and look it up. And these altars are these satanic buildings. And yeah. And they're saying here the rods of God will be activated through SpaceX. That's interesting. There's definitely something to this. And Elon, I don't know exactly what, but these things do exist. So that is going to be interesting. Coordinated efforts cause airplanes and trains to strike, so no transportation. Everyone is meant to stay home. I think during this final cleanup, it's a good idea to stay home. It's a good idea to have, a food supply, a water supply at home. I've got an electrical generator. I know there's a place, there's a well, I know where I can go to get water. And I've got lots of tins of stuff and dried foods. And you should too, just as a precaution. I mean, there's no need to do it from a place of fear. You do it from a place of common sense. Coordinated efforts cause airplanes, trains. I've already read that. Gas prices and rationing will cause travel impossible, so plan on very high prices. Housing bubble will pop since Evergrande owes 80% of all real estate. There you go. When it goes down, it takes the mortgages and companies with them. Most banks use Evergrande's backing White House to issue loans to other DS companies. Currently, teachers and Antifa are rioting in big cities over these rights. Since teachers are involved, and they're also part of this movement, schools are going to close. Thank God for that. They need to close. They're not schools, they're indoctrination camps. And some of the teachers are so wildly brainwashed because they went to university and they got filled with all this bullshit. They've got a lot to answer for. They are bad for your kids' health. They certainly are. The whole system is bad for your kids' health. I thoroughly resent any of my kids going to school here. But if you watch this channel, my eldest one left and is living his best life now, but just became the youngest guy to do the Round Island yacht race. And he's very, very happy, fit and healthy, blah, blah, blah. The Republic is going to issue vouchers to choose a school of your liking. That sounds good. If it's a bad school, they get no credits and shrivel up and go bust the way it should be. Absolutely. It should be supply and demand. But the problem is there's not been supply and demand, has it? There's never been true capitalism. Capitalism gets a bad rap by the DS and the media, but it's never actually existed. Actually, go and read a book called Life After the State by Dominic Frisby. The first chapter alone about Glasgow will blow your mind. After NESARA and the new doodah system, then the doodahs will become available. I've been very careful not to talk about these just because I've not seen anything with my own eyes and I've not met anybody that I 100% trust. But I think, the logic of the stuff existing is true. And if you read down a bit further, the best things we have at this time is the biofrequency devices, red light therapy, and Tesla's violet ray wand. Now, I've got a Tesla's violet ray wand. I think most of you have seen it. I have a red light thing here, which is by my side all the time. And I have biofrequency devices. I've talked about these on my channel completely by intuition. Yes, and water is very important. I've also talked about water on this channel. I have the best water in Ireland in my house. I have a Kangen machine. I have a Grander machine. I have a friend of mine built me a carbon filter that gets rid of all the baddies. So yeah, water is super, super, super important. Watch the water. That's what 17 said. It's all connected. You are water. So go and look up Emoto, EMOTO. If you don't know anything about this, start there. Atlantis is returning, and it's a 5D planetary system. I'm not sure about Atlantis. I think Atlantis was the distorted light. If you look at the Lemurian stuff that I've been doing with Huna Flash, but it's still interesting. Is this where we're moving to? Don't know for sure yet. However, God is absolutely flushing out all Satanists so he can clean the planet of evil. It's happening. I agree with that, 100%. All riots being monitored, and the National Guard, police, and sheriffs have taken the oath to protect the people. Good. I hope that's happened worldwide. I did hear that over 250 top Irish Gardaí were under arrest and being investigated for all sorts of corruption. And I've noticed that the presence of the Gardaí has been very low key in the last year. God allowed for 2 years for people to show their true colors. Yeah, I agree with that. I call it spiritual quarantine. And I've said for ages on my channel, the best thing about the whole situation is that people have been shown for who they really are. And, some people stood up, some people buckled, some people pushed the agenda, some people pushed against it. It's just genius. He's choosing the people for his new world. He wants to see, respects life, their babies, their children, their bodies, and wants a better way of life. Well, I think that's most of you watching this, so we're in a good place. God wanted to see what we would do with no rails on. This is also true. Those that allow their kids to be jibbied. Those people, I just do not understand them. I really don't. They did not protect their young ones and will have a terrible time trying to conceive for many years to come. Remember, God said he was removing branches from the family tree. It's a pruning. Yeah. I've got to go and do my basil plant, actually, because it's getting way too big because of the water. The quality of the water in this house is so good. I now have a 5-foot basil plant. These people will return to the 3D fortress to develop their inner selves. They're not ready to live off the rails in this environment. They still need teachers telling them what to do or not to do. No judgment, just the truth. During the 120 days between July 27th and November 3rd, you will witness the transition into a new world. 17 is not playing, nor are the White Hats. They are pretty disgusted at how stupid people have become and allowed themselves to become fat, lazy, and non-caring about life in general. 17 says, being idle in Satan's playground. Yeah. Therefore, we're all going to need to roll up our sleeves and help these guys create the new world. It's going to take education and training to learn how to best serve our communities. Well, this is why I put up the New Earth thing earlier. It's initiatives like that we need to support. It's getting together in communities and forming the New Earth, because the New Earth is already here. Shaq T said it in the video the other day, and I agree. The New Earth is already here. We're already in 4 and 5D. It's just, it's not necessarily going to be like a big event. It's already here. We've just got to tune into it. Now, it says here, 4th of July, this is the time for celebration and booms. That's interesting, because the 17th of July, this weekend, is the 4th of July, if you swap over the Julian and Gregorian calendars. And I've been seeing 1707 for a long time in my, synchronicities. Arrest and destruction of the old world is happening in July. Russia is taking down London Bridge with them. I don't know what that means, but I hope it's not nuclear. I don't want anybody innocent to die, so I don't know about that. And I don't know about this either. I can't imagine that they would be doing anything real with that. It's DEF CON on Red October time. Red October was a movie starring Sean Connery, and that was as a Russian captain of a submarine. My throat's a bit full of snot, so that's not my best Sean Connery impression. Let's try again. I'm the captain of a Russian submarine. It's too early in the morning for Sean Connery. But anyway, that film was made in the 80s, and it was about nuclear strikes. So go and watch it from the Russians. Red siren illustration, light siren police officer. Sirens, orange police car. I don't know what any of that means. I think that's a link to PNGs, which I assume is images. So that's not there. August is the launch of the new structures and establishments. Good. September is the launch of the new financial system. Good. October, building, planning, redesigning, and learning. Don't think for 1 minute that those people won't be allowed to panic over what is crawling through their veins. Yeah, I think there is going to be a time of, once they realize what they've done, they're going to freak out. I do believe a miracle is coming in that respect. Somebody sent me an email the other day saying, what do you think's, I did take the jibber jabber, but I only woke up in the last 2 months. And I said, look, I don't actually know. I don't think anybody actually knows. It's God's plan. The whole thing is a test of faith. If you reconnect, if you repent, if you do things that are out of service to others, not out of service to self, then I think you're going to be okay. But don't quote me on that, because I'm not God, funnily enough. This is talking about a new inauguration in 2023 for JFK Jr. and DJ is already the king over in the UK. I'm not sure about this bit. This whole bit, it goes into areas I'm not sure about. I don't think we need kings. Patrick Kenny's the king of Russia. What? But, this guy wrote this. So the 7 kingdoms of the Brahma area is being reinstated. Well, maybe. I don't actually know much about that. I'm going to have to look that up. Geological boundaries being redesigned to represent the old world before DS. Well, I'd rather imagine there's no countries. I'd rather see 0 passports, and it's one world, not a new world order, not one world government, but one world, and countries really being a case of like a representation of history and culture rather than, politics and hard borders. I don't think we need borders. Kind of weird how during the Brahmin era that Ganesh was popular, and now we have George. I don't understand that reference just because it begins with a G. I don't know. During these next 2 months, you will witness prices soar. Well, we're already witnessing that. So yeah, that's already happening. Then when we move to this system, prices will come down to the 1955 standard. I've heard that for the last couple of years. I don't know where they're getting the 1955 standard from. Don't really know what that means, but it'd be great, wouldn't it? If this house that I'm in currently becomes 2,000 quid, I'll buy 10. The Dumbs had enough food stored up to feed the world for 50 years. Yeah, of course it did. Of course they did. So, we're not going to have a food shortage. I think there'll be an appearance. I mean, they talk about food shortages, but there haven't actually been any. But it's the good stuff, and that's the return to the service. Russia is setting the gold standard to the ruble and BRICS. They've misspelt that. There should be an OK in there. Is the new IMF or international banking system. Yeah, agreed. The 3 days of chaos, I believe we're in now. Sunday, Monday is Black Swan. This is biblical because we're in a spiritual war. Correct. God is about to reveal himself, so hold on tight. Yeah, now that is interesting. I've heard, the EBS, right? So they're talking about the EBS down here. And Tom Numbers got onto me a couple of weeks ago, and he said he thought the EBS was going to be in the sky. And I was like, yeah, that resonates with me. And then somebody else said that it could be done on the side, on screens on the side of these massive ships. And that would be interesting, wouldn't it? There's no, imagine giant ships in the sky beaming out this information for 3 days. I mean, you're not going to say, "Oh, I can't be asked watching that. There's something on the telly." You wouldn't. You'd be out watching it, and that would be undeniable beyond belief. I think something along these lines is going to happen. I think that's why so many of us have been talking about UFOs and ships and arcs and things like that in the last year, because we've been told to. I got a message off of Rachel, Right Side Blonde, yesterday, and she said something like, let me dig the message out, actually, because it was quite interesting what I said to her and what she said to me, which was, wonderful woman, by the way. She went to that event that Charlie was at and met lots of people that she'd wanted to meet. And they all met each other. It's an amazing thing when you actually you actually meet people that you've spent so long talking to online or just being on the same side. It's a wonderful thing. And if the bad guys are in control, none of that would have happened. Let me find this message just very quickly. Yeah, I explained to her why my Telegram account thing happened. And she said, geez, hopefully they've got the AI crap under control. I like to think good guys are in control and taking these accounts down, but who knows? And I said, I'm sure they are. We are all chess pieces. And I've been saying that since I started this channel. Every one of us, including you listening to this, is a chess piece on a humongous multi-dimensional chessboard. Yeah, that's the vision I got ages ago, and I'm sticking with it. I don't know what's more exciting, the events or the finish of this movie. Then there is the faces on the mask wearers and the enlightened truth that they are dumb as rocks and the world knows it. I don't agree with. I'm past that kind of attitude. They are going to need our compassion. I don't think we should be laughing at people that have been duped. Just because we saw through it doesn't mean that we should take the piss out of them for not seeing through it. I mean, they're under, this is the biggest psychological war in history. Anybody that saw through it, well done. And if you did something about seeing through it, even more well done. But it's where we go one WGA. That's what it is. That means all of us, doesn't it? There is justice. George is always telling me the excuses that come up, blah, blah, blah. The EBS will allow military take over the airways. I don't like this. I mean, I did it in a poem once. I called them sheeple, but that was written nearly 18 months ago, and I'm softened on that now. But for 10 days, they will not be allowed to leave their homes. That's us as well. And if the EBS is going to be on the TV, it's going to be on the TV. So, yeah, I don't think you'd be forced to watch it. It'll be a choice. Documentaries, trials, and confessions have all been recorded. Yeah, not all be able to handle the fact that they themselves partook in beating up the truthers and accepted. Yeah, well, that's true. We did get beaten up, and they did accept Satan. They don't know it yet, but yes, Catholics especially, they didn't know. But again, there's a lot of good Catholics. They don't know. They just didn't know. But yeah, he's saying here, this is not the mindset God is looking for. He wants adults, people who can sit around the campfire and have a lovely chat. So this is going into his opinion, and that's fine. He's entitled to that. It's a reboot into Atlantis. Yeah, I've already mentioned that. Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely true. We're moving into the 432 hertz love vibrational frequency. I mean, I've heard that the towers will be transmitting. That's a healing frequency. It's a love frequency. And I think, if you look at Tartaria, that's, I think that they were beaming that frequency out, and it makes the plants grow high. It makes people happy and harmonious. And that's where we need to be, which would be great. Just read this on the screen for yourselves. Yeah. Yeah. The only way to defeat the Cabal is to destroy their regiment in Europe. Now, if you go back to Edward Casey's prophecies, one of my favorite ones, or lines or quotes, is where he says, the darkness of Europe will change in the twinkling of an eye, something along those lines, really, really fast. And I think we're witnessing it now. Putin knows exactly what he's doing, as he is cutting off all of that. I mean, seeing those flags all around Ireland, driving around this week, is just so ridiculous. Yeah, this is it. This is why when you sign up to my email list, I give you a link to G. Edward Griffin's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. I mean, I've said this many times. I studied economics for 5 years. Nobody mentioned the fractional reserve banking system. They just filled our heads full of ridiculous mathematics based on Marx's work, and they filled our heads with bullshit history, and nobody really questioned it. That's why university is a waste of fucking time while it's in control. These guys are in control of it. Yeah, this fake regime promised Europeans they would replace Russian gas, but their main gas export has been blown up. So it's been squeezing everywhere. I mean, what you're seeing is the cabal being squeezed left, right, and center, and it's a beautiful thing to see. If you haven't looked into Gaddafi, he was creating a utopia, gold-backed money. He gave money for people to go to uni to get married, to start off in their lives. I mean, he was doing amazing things. And just remember what Hillary Clinton said about him. We came, we saw, we killed him. Something along those lines. She was horrible. What a horrible, horrible witch. Yeah. This is another thing that's happened, which is really good. So, yeah, I think that's as much as I want to go through today. Lots and lots of great things happening. Keep yourself chipper. Go out in nature. Get out in nature. Keep your vibe high. In the links below, if you want to become more independent of mind and financially, there's a free webinar on my course, Monetize What's Already in Your Head. If you want to become healthier and stronger, there's a free webinar below, Maximize the Light in Your Cosmic Suit in 90 Days. Take that challenge. Go and have a look at the webinar. It explains all about it. It's all below this video. In the meantime, have a wonderful day. See you soon.